Hello, everyone. I genuinely cannot stand what I'm seeing online with the AI pro and against arguments. I feel like everybody is playing with a half deck here. So I'd like to offer my 2 cents on what I think is really going on. For those of you that don't know me, I am a writer and director. I have um, I've made music most of my life, but also sort of concurrently, I have been a video director for a long time. I've been an editor for about 15 years. I've been writing, since like high school or whatever. Um, and I've shot some real stuff. I've made real narrative things. And about a year and a half ago, I started using generative AI tools to sort of bring my more expensive ideas to life. Started out as just sort of a hobby, and then it became it's now sort of my job. It's not the best paying job right now, but I have made money off of this, and I have a few projects that are in the works and sort of out and floating around the old Hollywood as well. Um, but I don't. I just feel sort of uniquely qualified to kind of speak on this. I have been using the tools um, for about as long as they've been around, and I've been sort of keeping an eye on the community and in it and contributing to it. So yeah, that's my background. So I'm just gonna kind of like go through really my thoughts on you know the big cliches like, oh bro, it's so over. And I don't believe it is. I don't think Hollywood is nearly in the danger that people would like, especially people on X, would like to pretend that it is. And especially a lot of the anti AI people, I think they are lighting their hair on fire a little bit too much about this. And I'm going to kind of try and break down why. First, we have to get into a very important question, though. So, look, man, uh, far more articulate and intelligent people can give you the full breakdown of cinema and all that, but I want to talk about why we like them and what they really mean to us. So, movies in general, I don't think people really give it enough credit for the sort of cultural chokehold. And I guess television, sort of by osmosis, we're sort of talking about both of those combined here. Hollywood, as it were. It has hypnotized our culture and the rest of the world for about 100 years now. And what started as just a weird machine that could make pictures move when you shined a light bulb through it. More ambitious artists and directors, did it, and then all these other businesses spawned out of that, from editors to the people that have to develop the film, the people that have to create the film, the people that have to make the fucking canisters you put the film in, the concept artists, the audio guys, the fucking people that make the microphones for the audio guys. Like, you have to understand when you're talking about an industry, you're talking about a web of businesses that, with all of their products combined, create the thing, whatever, when you call it the film industry, that's what it is. AI is the same way. There are a multitude of AI products most people are like 90% okay with. But they get lumped into the LLMs and the generative AI, and that kind of, you know, corrupts that. And so then also people do the same thing with Hollywood. But films themselves, I think people are starting to lose sight of what kind of makes them special. So on the one side, you'll have like Kino, Bro, Super Cinema people that are like, no, if it's not with, 30 years ago, they were just saying, digital would never be a thing. And they've basically been wrong about everything. But, on some level, they understand that like film is this kind of pure thing that when you get these actors with these like really, really incredible performances and this great story and this amazing score, and all of this, and it's all put together in this package. It really just fucking captivates us, and it's a way to just dig out a hole in your brain and just stick a memory in there. At least it is for me. On top of everything I had mentioned before, about my background, I do also need to mention I have seen thousands of movies. Um, I just by virtue of like working from home for a long time and having a weird job where I could just, being up late or whatever, and I had a lot of time during the day, I would say on average, probably watched 1.5 to 2 movies a day, pretty much every day of my life. Um, or I would say at least one. And I usually try to watch at least one movie a day. And a lot of times I'm rewatching movies, and I don't fancy myself really a critic. I'm good about talking about the movies I like and stuff. I can never write about movies though. I'm fascinated by people that can. I think that's really cool. Side quest, sorry. So anyway, film though, it does sort of mean like art in general. It means something different to everybody else, and I think the AI argument has opened that, or it's illuminated that fact quite a bit. And it really shows kind of what people are in it for. There's a lot of people that are just simply conservative about whatever their thing is. And it's like this very weird inverse where, um, people can be liberal about everything else and every other subject or whatever, but when it comes to film, no, that can't change. We can't progress with that. I'm not progressive when it comes to the things I like. And I think that's a very interesting phenomenon. And, but also on the other end of that spectrum, there are people that like, well, this thing is basically fucking meaningless, so we can change it into whatever we want because it just nothing really matters. And like, that's a weirdly progressive position for a lot of people that have weirdly unprogressive politics to take. And so it's interesting. Um, so I guess that kind of gets into, as far as I go, I love film. I like all types of film. I like foreign film and stuff like that. I don't consider myself like, there's just something so fucking annoying about when people are like, oh, I'm a lover of cinema. I don't know. And maybe that's just my own fucking biases and whatnot. But, I just really fucking like movies. I watch them. I think about them every day, all day, have since I was 7 years old. I've been writing scripts since I was like 12 on little fucking notepads. I just love this shit. And so I also, though, don't believe that it's any one thing that I've got the total scope on. You know what I mean? Like, I don't really give a fuck about the arguments of like, well, what does art even mean? And what is really art? And because it doesn't fucking matter, and it's not really up to anyone. Like, you can look at a tree on the horizon or whatever, and it like does the same thing to your brain that a painting will do, and you can get art out of pretty much anything. And art is really about, uh, in my opinion, gun to my head, it's like an idea or, a thing that causes people to think about things or feel things. And so, a lot of people get that feeling from like woodworking and chairs. Like they look at a fucking table that someone made and they're just like, oh my God, this is art. Art can be so many different things. And film, and they're all unique in their own way, and they're all basically defined by their limitations. So a book, when people say, oh, the book was better than the movie, it's like, well, that's because a book can do more than a movie can. But in a lot of ways, a movie's better than a book. And in a lot of ways, a painting, they say picture's worth 1,000 words. That's a pretty good rate of return on, the sort of emotional or, story information you're trying to pass on, because that's what films do. No matter what in your scene, you're transmitting information somehow, whether it's through the imagery, the cinematic language, or whether it's, dialogue and shit like that, and story and action, blah, 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 the writing. So I guess now is a better time than ever to just go into, you know, this. Yeah. So I've been seeing just a lot of fucking slander of Hollywood in the past 10 years. Much of it deserved. I understand the climate. I watch Critical Drinker. I've seen, 50-year-old men cry about a Snow White movie. Um, but right now, Hollywood was a victim, like many other aspects of our culture, to the culture war. And no doubt it has had its own hand in our politics. I think Star Wars turning pretty bad, even though I don't even believe that like Star Wars 100% is dog shit compared to like the six movies we got. I love those six movies, but Star Wars starting to get lame though really red pilled a lot of people. And it's funny watching that tiny domino effect from the Red Letter Media, um, what do you call it? The Red Letter Media episode one review. And sorry if no you don't if like you've never heard of this before. It's super dorky, but it's kind of like an important thing actually to what we're talking about now. The Red Letter Media review sort of like set the standard for what a YouTube movie review could be. And it opened the door for a whole new different style of movie related content. And Hollywood really listens to YouTube. They do actually listen to fans far more than I think people would imagine. But it's just that when you are on the opposite side of an audience, meaning, okay, when you're a fan, you're like, why don't they just do this, this, and that? Like, and you would like reach out or make your opinion known. They understand that, but they also have 8,000 other people telling them 8,000 other different things. And like like it if you are doing some kind of like super important IP to people or whatever, which I hate to break it to you, is a cash cow. It's kind of hard to win. And I watched the sort of undoing of like the Zack Snyder DCEU because they were trying to react midstream to the last thing that came out. And so the other thing is too, obviously everybody, wants to blame woke stuff. And they want to get mad. And when I say everybody, I mean the people I see bitching on Twitter. Largely male, largely right wing. Uh, they're just the ones that they want the chicks to be hot again. They want shit to be cool. They want to see cool dudes. Just they want shit to just be cooler. And then you have sort of like the lefty theater kid side of things. And I'm like, look, I'm not trying to shit on anybody here. I'm just like trying to be honest. Let's just be fucking honest. That's what it is. Okay? It's like autistic dudes who really, really cling to the shit they like about movies, and theater kids who are still kind of nerds, even though they have access to $200 million budgets. So anyway, um, streaming though is actually mostly to blame for the problems that you see in Hollywood. The demand is so high now because before they had to make a great movie, they had to market and promote it, get you in the theater, or get you to Best Buy to buy the DVD or the Blu-ray or the VHS or whatever. And that they, and when they had that physical media, they had a whole second revenue stream. They had a whole other, they could basically release the movie twice. And streaming came in and changed that. And the reason streaming was so successful is when you look at it from the perspective of these big media conglomerates that own the studios, that are like above the studios, it's a far safer bet to just be like, well, we basically just have a faucet of movies and you can just turn it on and off, but like you just need it all the time. You pay for it whether you use it. It's not a specific movie thing. And so these companies started doing very well, and they started getting way more backing. And people have paid Netflix a ton of money just to stay running. They didn't really get a huge profit for some time, and that I could be wrong about. I don't have a fact checking thing in front of me right now. But I just feel like when it comes to streaming companies, when you look at sort of the takeover that they had, it had a lot of adverse effects. On one hand, we have more fucking good like TV shows than ever. TV's like badass as fuck. And yeah, I know people could complain about Star Trek and there's still all the woke shit or whatever. But the fact is, there are people like Hollywood is making, they have a lot of money spent on market research. And so just because you think like, oh, I want to see more than this, and you see a lot of people online that also want more of this, if you actually saw the number of people that really, really want that stuff, it wouldn't be that high if you're in the boardroom. And you wouldn't even take that risk if you're talking about a $100 million, $200 million movie. Again, I'm not saying this is right, by the way. I'm not saying this is smart, but this is just sort of what's happening right now. And so they're looking at the actual demographics of people that are watching this fucking shit all day or likely to go out to see a movie. And it's like they have to base it around people and actors. Like, why the fuck do you think Ryan Reynolds and The Rock keep showing up in everything? Or like Mark Wahlberg. Like, I haven't heard a single person in the past 10 years be like, yo, put that movie with The Rock on that wasn't like a 6-year-old or younger. And so it's just like, it's because these people are marketing brands. These people are like, or they are, they're walking businesses. They have all of these tertiary businesses that they have. They promote through the movie and around it. And that's why they're safe bets and they already have a big audience, big social media following and stuff. And that's why Hollywood would keep betting on them over and over and over, because truly the numbers do sort of add up to some degree. And the studios have lost a lot of money. I understand that. But for the most part, Hollywood is perceived to be out of touch, retarded liberals who have too much money and keep making movies about like fucking authors and shit. And they want to make everybody gay and lame, blah, 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 blah. But a lot of that is true, for sure. But again, the business itself changing, I still think is mostly due to streaming. But also, one of the biggest problems is that what people perceived as lefty politics is actually corporate politics. So these like studios are run by larger corporations. So there's still like shit that they have to agree to with the bigger conglomerate and how things are run and what to do. And that bleeds down through everything, because then you've got projects going to like showrunners and people like that who come from that corporate side of the thing and not the creative side of the thing. And it's because the show that they bet on, 2 seasons ago did really well. So now they got a little bit of clout and they're like, well, maybe I'll fucking direct it. That stuff definitely happens. So there's a lot of just like out of touch political avenue of Hollywood. But I think the other thing is that just like because of the corporate nature of it, it's very, very censored. It's very, it's just bland. It's just like, meh. And it's like they're trying to make, like every movie is either just like a kid's movie or it's just like insanely fucked up. Like growing up in the 90s, PG-13 movies were the shit. Like there were amazing PG-13 movies. And now it just seems like with a PG-13 movie, it's just like, it feels like watered down somehow. I don't know. I'm getting off on a tangent here. All right. Well, that's basically my take though. Hollywood, the corporate side of things, and because they're just trying to hedge their bets in something that's inherently risky, and because of social media, they have sort of this false crystal ball of their market and demographic, which they perceive to be more real than it actually is in spending power, which I believe is manifested through the phenomenon called go woke, go broke. And to me, that's just like a severe marketing disconnect. Many would say that, no, this is just fucking how Marxists are. They just ruin everything. And like, maybe that might be true. I don't know. But really what I think it is, because I've said in another video about like right wing and left wing art, that like a lot of what people perceive to be like, oh, these lefty directors and lefty Hollywood people, it's like, dude, a lot of them are just kind of like way more into making movies. And so they'll kind of just do what they have to and toe the line. And like, yeah, I'm sure that like goes against your principles and you look down on people for doing that. I've kind of, like I haven't had to do that or experience that kind of environment and stuff like that. And I've worked with, people from both sides and stuff. But I think there's a lot of disconnect with that too, that it's just like a cutthroat business. It's just a really hard business because you're pitching it off ideas. And, these people are taking big risks. But now they have sort of the data from social media, because now that's the only way anybody really promotes and markets things. And it's telling them sort of false information because the more people Facebook tells them it's showing, like we know large social media platforms are laden with bots and stuff like that, but they did that because it gives them more ad dollars and they don't actually have to show it to that many people or whatever. And so, anyway, um, yeah, let's get into the next thing. So, I think that so much of the hatred of AI comes down to the fact that well, the environmental angle is one, which truthfully I don't even know much about. I've heard so many people fucking debunk it and rebunk it and tell me it sucks. I'm sure it sucks for the environment. I'm pretty sure all the data centers that existed before AI sucked for the environment and everything too. And maybe that's a nihilistic take, but it's just like I don't really have much more to offer on the subject than that. It sucks. I don't. Hopefully, we can start building the data centers in space and they can just cool down there. But anyway, um, what the generative AI argument, especially if you go back to the first war, which was Ghiblygate, if you go back to that, it really exposed this whole subsection of tech people who have a, and this was wild to me because I had never really experienced this, but then it like made sense in hindsight about a lot of stuff. But they have a genuine envy and dislike of artists and artistry and the ability of it, and they genuinely don't believe art is special. They just like on one hand, they're just like, and a lot of talk of like gatekeepers, which if we're talking about tech industry stuff, like you're like a 3D artist, like VFX guy, video game programmer, um, there's definitely discrimination that goes on in those industries with that. I totally understand that. I'm not trying to discount that, but there's a lot of like I see people and it's like, oh, okay, like you clearly didn't even try. You just assumed all art stuff is just lefty people and they won't like you or whatever. And that's not really the case. And even if you're coming from like a right wing perspective, or maybe you're more of just kind of like a tech crypto type guy that wants to get into it. The thing I found really interesting and cool about when I first kind of like started getting into the AI community and stuff is just like, the wide, insane, diverse array of people and backgrounds. And a lot of them I found it's like it wasn't a lot of young people, which I understand and I'll get into later. But it was a lot of like Gen Xers and millennials and stuff that like a lot of them were artists for years and years and years. And this is just another tool in their belt. But then there's this other subsection that they were like, yeah, like I had four fucking kids real young and had like a real successful career and ran businesses and blah, blah, blah. And I always wanted to try it, but I was like, never had the courage. And then I saw this and like, it wasn't as intimidating and it made me want to get into it. Now I can express myself through it and stuff like that. And a lot of these people make some of the worst shit you've ever seen in your life, and it's not that good. But it doesn't matter, man. Like it's special to them, and like that's kind of cool. But we're going back to why they hate it. So, well, a lot of people hate it because they're just like, oh, okay, cool. So like with me, I'm a person that's been making art my whole life. I drew a lot when I was young. I play a couple different instruments. Like I just fucking love doing creative shit. I just love expressing myself. But I never like really try to get down on the like, well, this is what a true artist is and what you have to do. Now I have thoughts and theories on what you have to do if you want to have a successful career in creativity and stuff like that. And it does take, a good amount of it takes a lot of discipline and it takes a lot, like politics basically. Um, but the resentment and the envy that I saw from a lot of these like tech people, to them it very much seemed like it was coming from a place of like, haha, we built robot art and it's better than your natural art. It was like a Mecha Godzilla versus Godzilla thing, which I also thought was very interesting. Because like I adopted their tech. I'm amazed at what the tech bros can do. They've got a chokehold on our whole fucking world. It's just a bunch of fucking dorks that just got the money guys like fooled 40 years ago, and then like they've just been riding the wave ever since. And now they've got, the talking AI machines. But generative AI in general, um, people have kind of a negative view on it because the companies themselves won't stop hiring people that won't shut the fuck up with their terrible marketing campaign. Like some dude back in, July of 2023 asked ChatGPT what would be like a good rage bait way to promote my AI video. And it was like, here's the list. Say it's over, or fucking, Hollywood's cooked. Oh God, the fucking ugh. And I forget whatever old boy's name is. I'll put his shit on the screen. We got to get this motherfucker out of here, bro. Like he's terrible. Like they have not the a lot of people, and I don't even want to say the AI community because all the people I see making really like rad shit with AI really don't do a lot of the gimmicky stuff. I will say PJ Ace, who I think he does incredible work. He's always been kind to me. Not trying to disparage the boy, but he definitely understands how to truly market on the internet, which you have to do. You have to be, kind of rage baity and stuff like that. But there's people like Blacklight who, like, to me is more of a model kind of artist of what like an AI artist could be, because he's like just unlocked this whole universe of creativity that like you could really tell comes from him, and it's like the AI just makes it fucking happen. But he's got a real fan base. He's got people that are really fucking tapped into it. And so, and there's other people like that too. I'm sorry they're not coming to mind right now. But even myself, like I have seen way more success, using AI to get my ideas across. And it helps that I have that background in editing, and, I've shot composition and all this other stuff. Because like making an AI film is not super different from or making an AI film is not super different from making a real film outside of the production phase. The production phase, which is the what people refer to as the making of the film, but it's actually like 1/3 of it. Um, the pre-production phase is pretty much just as important as the production and whatnot, but like post-production is where the thing gets finished. And AI film just sort of shoves everything into post-production. And so you could really craft a whole story in a different way. And so, um, and I think I have not got a lot of negative. I'm not even trying to toot my own horn, but like I don't get a lot of haters and shit talking shit about my work, because they can tell that like I didn't just two prompt it into something. You know what I mean? But what's been going on with the Seed Dance 2.0, because first of all, it's incredible. I mean, obviously, it's fucking incredible, and you could tell that the AI hater rage is like so fucking peak right now because of this. You know what I mean? Um, People were punching air. People were throwing phones across the office in Hollywood. I guarantee you that happened at least once. It probably happens once every day anyway. But yeah, the hate of generative AI is because generative AI has positioned itself as this oppositional, destructive force, without really any of the infrastructure to do that. Um, and so I see some AI companies recently, though, that have made the wise decision of like, well, we've got a few $1 million laying around. Let's actually invest in some movies and stuff like that. But without, well, okay, hold on. But so the first thing about like why AI can't take over Hollywood is that like Hollywood is fucking huge. Okay. And also I'm using Hollywood as a euphemism for the American film business. But it's massive and it makes about $202 billion every year. And AI makes a lot of money right now, but not really, because AI is good at raising money and investment into it. And a lot of these companies are not what you would refer to as actually profitable yet. They're going to be paying off what was invested to them, like for a while. It's not like real profit. So also the generative AI part is actually a small portion of what overall AI stuff is about. You've got, whatever terrifying looking glass future telling AI stuff they're doing for the government, which I'm sure is a big chunk of their overhead. And then you've got, uh, all the other stuff. You've got the voice stuff. the fucking agents, and so it's not like generative AI is the full weight of what the AI industry has to offer. Um, and so the other thing is just like, yo, where the fuck are the movies? Like, we all know there's mountains of dog shit that people just like really tried to cram through and get done. But when I say where are the movies, I've seen a lot of great shorts. There's a ton of great AI work out there, but in terms of a straight up feature film, um, and I think a lot of people are making good stuff episodically. That's what I'm trying to do too, because with AI, it's like, yeah, why not? Like, why not just keep it going and get more bang for your buck? But if AI, when people say like, "Oh, it's fucking over, bro," like, and it's like, if that were to happen, where the fuck are the movies? And don't tell me the tools haven't been good enough yet. Don't tell me. Where is the movie that has, broken out and transcended out of the internet and had any cultural staying power at all? Because like you guys equate getting views with like, oh, this is a thing that people actually want. It's like, no, they just looked at it and they walked the fuck away, and nobody ever said like, oh my god, I can't wait for the next episode of the Tom Cruise and the Brad Pitt fight. Like, no one's saying that. It's cool you can do it. Don't get me wrong. That was sick. I want to know what's on episode 2 of the Tom Cruise Brad Pitt fight. But like, let's be honest. It's a tech demo. Most of this shit is a tech demo. Because it's not just to make a film you need actors and all this other stuff. To make a fucking movie, a fucking picture, you know what I mean? Like the fucking real shit we think of in our mind, Indiana Jones, fucking Casino, Gone with the Wind, blah, 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 blah. That takes star power. Star power is like a whole different thing that we're dealing with. And it's not just that you can replicate an already existing star, which, by the way, the idea of star power is sort of going away. We're seeing that now with the rise of the influencer, the streamer, with actors and stars having to act like them to sort of keep up revenue wise. Because also it's not cheap being a celebrity. So, like I said before, the AI companies, they don't have the profit and the money to really throw at this to like, if they wanted to actually like put the boot on Hollywood's neck. Like that wouldn't happen. The industry's fucking massive. Now, well, okay, I'll wait. So the other thing is too, right now there's a provision, I believe it's in the big beautiful bill that was passed, that said there can be no regulation on AI for the next 10 years. I don't know if if it was codified into law in the big beautiful bill, which I'm not 100% if it was, but if it was, they could, and I think that's what Joseph Gordon-Levitt right now is pushing for, is to overturn that portion of that law and make it so we can regulate AI companies, which that's honestly a topic for a whole other video. But I do believe at some point within 10 years, sooner than that, the technology will be way more censored than it already is, and it will be regulated far more. And that is kind of like the fact is, like, if you have a camera and some actors, you can just, like, nobody can stop you, theoretically. You know what I mean? Like, the police can. They can be like, you can't fucking shoot here. But that's about it. But, like, with AI, it's like, if all you do is with AI, like, that sounded fucking stupid. If all you do is use AI stuff and they decide they don't like your account, they can just zip your account away. And that's not really good. Like, they can just, say, oh, you've generated too much weird stuff. Which, like, on the old CSA or CSAM stuff, I get it. I totally understand that. But I'm talking like political stuff. Because also, I have done most of my work with AI has been like using deepfakes of political figures, and I make stuff about that and current events and conspiracies and stuff like that. And that's, to me, why I really love AI, is it gives me a chance to tell these kind of stories far easier And I also don't feel like, I'm putting some fucking imaginary animation studio out of business and getting them evicted because these fucking dude, if you watch my shit, like Hollywood doesn't want to make it. They're not gonna make shit like that. And it's just like, I love that. And I think a lot of people get that too, that AI is this technology that will allow all these different creators to do weird ass shit that people really like, and it'll have its own fan base and it's going to get its own portion of the market share. But that market share also might largely come from YouTube and people that were following content creators that were related to that, but maybe weren't seeing the sort of more cinematic angle. But there's also all these new kind of content creators, like the AI Bible people. That's like super interesting. It's this channel. I watched it grow to almost 1 million fucking subs over, the course of like 2 months because they just were like, oh, we're just gonna like start going through the Bible and just making AI movies out of all of it and make the AI Bible cinematic universe, which, rolling off the tongue is sort of a terrifying phrase if you think about it. But anyway, it was I do believe channels like this were absolutely why YouTube was like, yeah, we're not monetizing any more AI stuff. We're not doing that. Because it does kind of fuck up their base, which is people sitting in their trucks talking about, politics or whatever, and or complaining about, this or that. um, so yeah, I don't see, AI actually taking over the infrastructure of Hollywood unless they have the ability to distribute the movies beyond just out of the internet. Like Hollywood still, when people will like shit on how much money a movie makes, and be like, oh my God, they spent this much and they only made this much in profit, or like, and a lot of movies just flat out just lose money, and that's been the reality forever too. But most of the time, these studios stay profitable. They're not completely hemorrhaging money, and sometimes they'll chalk whole movies that get made just to take the tax write off. You know what I mean? And just chunk it as a loss and never even release it, which is truly absurd in my mind. And like somehow they shouldn't be allowed to do that. Because I want to see the Batgirl movie, even though I know it would have been complete trash and slop. So anyway, okay, let's get into the next one. Let's start wrapping this up here. Hollywood is also, though, not going to be able to survive without AI. Hollywood has a really unique problem where, while everybody thinks like, oh my God, fucking Hollywood, nobody's buying what they're selling anymore. It's actually like quite the opposite. They can't make shit quick enough, but they don't really have enough ideas because they have to follow corporate sort of needs. So they have to hit these four quadrants of the U.S. and make something that's bland enough to sort of appeal to everybody. And because of big tentpole directors like James Cameron, Steven Spielberg, Michael Bay, these guys have, George Lucas also, these guys have been pushing technology forward, not just technology, but the industry of film itself. So digital video editing, there's a lot of these technologies that we all use today were pioneered a lot of times first by directors that found really smart tech guys and sort of got that company rolling. And the VFX have, even though they're great and we all love the Hollywood spectacle and stuff like that, we are too spoiled with them. And they are too over reliant on VFX. Because also what people think of as VFX is like, the fucking weird scene in the end of the Flash, or like, they think of CGI. And what people don't understand is like a lot of CGI is the shit you just don't see. It's like, oh, we accidentally got a boom mic in, 8 frames right here, and so we need to uh, CGI that out. Or I don't like this mailbox. Can we change that mailbox? Or, that's a lot of what VFX is. And so these movies that they make, because they think this is what people want to see as a bigger and bigger spectacle. And there's a double-sided coin to that. I guess all coins are double-sided. That, you know, they want to make stuff that basically they can get a family to see. They want something that, like, the Marvel thing is great because those are largely movies that like the whole family can go and watch and everybody pretty much walks away happy. They're not too dark and violent. At least most of them aren't. There's some that are a little more adult, I guess, but certainly not like the fucking Batman or like Joker that Warner Brothers has been doing. Could make a whole video about fucking Warner Brothers, and I just, so disappointed. But I won't. I won't put you guys through that right now. Also, they got writer strikes out the fucking ass in Hollywood, and they can't seem to understand. They're like, well, we don't want to pay our writers because the shit they're writing, people aren't really getting down with. But also, Hollywood is this thing that has to deal with guilds and unions and all this other stuff, and that's why AI is just simply going to be able to outpace it. Online, regular fucking anon, weirdos are going to be able to make interesting content that's going to captivate more of that market share, because really what the market share that we're talking about here is eyeballs. And there's only 24 hours in a day. Someone's getting those eyeballs. Right now, it's TikTok for the most part and our phones and shit. But like, that's why they spend 600 million marketing, or not 600 million. If a movie, let's say, is like, 60 million, they'll put like 10 to 20 million. Sometimes they'll put in 40 million or 60 million into marketing a movie, depending. There's like a scale to it, how it shifts, but you get the idea. And it's because they have to stop everyone in their tracks from their busy little lives, from their stupid little phones, to be like, oh shit, okay, I gotta like make time and go figure out when this movie's playing and like get in my car and go there. Oh, do I have fucking cash, or can I, it's like a whole thing. When also they're competing with Netflix, where it's like, oh shit, I can just literally watch this and eat a bowl of cereal. If they offered bowls of cereal in movie theaters, I think honestly that could be a total game changer. But then you think about the mess, that'd be bad. But anyway, the writer strikes though, the VFX being as expensive as they are, because also here now we have this thing where people are like, God damn, like how the fuck, like why do we have to wait 2 years for shows now? When like shows used to just come out every year, sequels used to come out like way quicker. Why do things take longer? When the truth is, there's only so many people that are fucking doing this. And it's like there's only so many trucks and sprinter vans and 18 wheelers and celebrity trailers. And, they have to build all these sets. There's only so many backlots. There's only so many, replicas of the White House and shit. And there are like actual supply chain logistical issues that prevent Hollywood from actually keeping up with the demand of what people want, which is permanent, Wally state, thoughtless, give me the beam of entertainment into my eyes. Please don't let me remember that satanic pedophiles have, infiltrated every level of society and control my entire life. That's what people are looking for. They want the escape from that. And Hollywood's like, God damn, we're trying, bro, but we just, but like, they just, when Hollywood just steps the fuck back, because also, here's the other thing. Here's one thing I'll say. People, when a lot of motherfuckers will be like, man, how can Hollywood talk shit about AI slop, or how can people do that when, look at fucking Superman, they keep regurgitating stuff. And it's like, yeah, man, I get that, but also enough people love that stuff that it's sort of earned its weight in cultural relevance. And even though they miss when they swing on that stuff, doesn't mean that's the same as somebody like, oh my God, it's fucking Damon Wayans actually playing so and so in this. And it's like, that was a fucking random example, but just slop. What you think of as slop? It's always just a rendition or a flip or it's like, oh my God, what if Jason Bourne and fucking James Bond were gay together? And it's like, it's just, that's the shit that it's just like, yo, man, that will never have cultural staying power because you're still just getting, as the kids say, mogged by Hollywood IP. If all your shit has to rely on existing Hollywood IP, say what you will about the AI slop Bible channel, but like at least that's fair game. Like everybody's made Bible movies, that's just an easy fucking story. It's right there. And so Hollywood will not be able to survive if they can't keep up with the demand of what TikTok, Netflix, Pornhub, all these streaming companies, even Spotify are offering, which is a faucet. And so that's why you see Netflix circling and wanting to buy HBO and Warner Brothers, because they need to meet that logistical demand to be able to put out their product the way that other people can and streamers and stuff like that. Because here's the other thing, it doesn't translate over. They've tried to figure out like, okay, some of these like streamers and influencers become comedians, and some people, want to make movies, and but it doesn't always cross over. TikTok is a very different medium and delivery advice than films are, and social media in general is, and it's just not the fucking same. Which is also why it's not the same when you make a whole movie and then you just release it on YouTube. It doesn't feel right, And I think that's why you have these smaller streaming services like Mubi and I forget some of the other ones, but like that's cool. And I would like to see sort of the internet get back to that because um, AI is not going to replace like the fucking Oppenheimers and Barbies. It's not going to. I'm sure they're going to use AI as VFX in that. Like VFX people, like yeah, you got it coming, bro. But the problem is though, is that there's still going to be people that want the VFX more because like they're going to be able to do stuff that the AI can't. Because again, people don't understand that like when they say, "Oh, look what AI made," it's like AI. It did make it in the sense of like without it, you wouldn't have the finished product. But there are still going to be people that can make a film that is more interesting than 16 Brad Pitts versus 16 Keanu Reeves versus 29 Sydney Sweeneys with 8 titties. It's like it won't fucking matter compared to the person who like finds a genuinely human, interesting story and has a few actors and a shitty set and a hungry crew and they do it. That stuff will always exist. The people that think it won't are fucking morons. They're just fucking morons. Bands still get vinyls made of their album, even if they don't even sell that many of them. Some people just want to make sure they have their own shit on that. So you have to accept that no, Hollywood as you know it is not going to be like, oh, the days of old and you want to be a star. But like, it's never going to be that again, man, because it's all corporate and corporate stuff sucks. Anytime something gets super corporate, it just sucks and it's lame. And that's why. And so you can blame the culture war, libs, and all that shit, all you want. But the fact is, it's just corporate because you guys are just a bottom line. That's all it is. So all the people saying like, well, I'm a real artist. It's like, oh, really? The fucking, like what on Gossip Girl season 5? You were the grip. Like, get the fuck out of here. Shut up. You work in the industry. Doesn't mean you're an artist. I'm sorry. Your job is on the fucking chopping block to some degree. But it's like, this is how it happens. How many fucking matte painters do you know anymore? Or hand-drawn poster drawers, you know? And maybe this was all just a terrible misstep. Maybe we should have just stopped the technology at 1997, and never got the Matrix and never got, 28 days later, and digital cinema never existed. And only the true believers got it. It doesn't work that way, man. We all wish it did because everybody likes to believe that art is some mythical force. But like it's not. It just exists in you and your own mind, your connection to it and all that. It does. And the best you're going to get is going to a concert or going to a theater and seeing that other people like it too. Because that makes it hit way harder because you don't feel alone anymore. And nothing about Hollywood and what it does unites us anymore. There aren't those big tentpole experiences that every fucking buddy goes to watch. But that's a reflection because everybody wants what they want. We want to see people we relate to in movies. Like, yo, bro, I don't relate to John McClane at all, but I want to see him kill the terrorists in Nakatomi Plaza in Die Hard. Like, I don't relate to so many of the characters that I like in movies. I'm not in it for that. I'm in it for a cool story and interesting characters. But we do have a subset of the population that is incredibly narcissistic, and they have to relate to characters or else they don't even want to watch it. And that is what we are seeing. And that's why a lot of shows and movies sound like they were written by people who work in fucking HR. And everything sounds corporate and terrible. And so Hollywood's got to figure that problem out and be willing to take risks. However, they still make good movies. Like there's really good movies that still come out. It's just that we lack an overall monoculture. Monoculture is just now taken over by internet culture, which is why AI chuds believe that they are, the rising tide that's going to overthrow the liberal theater kid hegemony. Hegemony? I think that's how you say it. But they're not. They're two actually very, very different worlds. But VFX is where the wave is going to crash the hardest, and I don't see it really fucking writers like I don't know. If you're a writer right now and you have like cool screenplay ideas and you can't get shorts made of it, like why the fuck aren't you using AI to at least just make a pitch? You know what I mean? Like, like why? You don't even have to show it to people other than people that could give you money or buy your script. Like, there's so many other ways to use the tools than using it for the finished product. I've now got a feature length project with AI, but I made it in three different stages. So the first part looks like shit compared to the last part. And, that was a problem that I didn't even foresee when I got into it. I didn't even understand how fast this shit would move. And that feels like a lifetime ago when I started, and it was literally last February. And so most people aren't even done with pre-production on a movie in that time. And so what people don't understand is that like speed and quantity are qualities all their own. And Hollywood can claim they make quality stuff because in theory they do. If you look at a lot of the movies that people talk about being complete dog shit, yes, there are plenty of examples of like, really? You guys had $90 million dollars and it looks this bad? Like you could just tell a lot of mid-level executives got big bonuses off of it, and a lot of the, like back in the day, if you watch like the most expensive movies from 1960 to 1965, 1970, most of that money in the budget ends up on the screen. You know what I mean? Now it seems like very little of the budget ends up on the screen. It's like, wait, why the fuck does this cost so much? When the cameras are cheaper, the VFX shit is easier to do, we've got all this other stuff. Why do the budgets of movies keep ballooning? And then the answer is, permits, city stuff, unions, all these different things. And I'm not even anti-union or whatever. Like that's a thing, because creatives don't get paid shit and they get taken advantage of. But that's also a reality because again, we're talking about frequency, speed, the demand, and Hollywood just can't really keep up with that right now. But if they start to utilize VFX, they could. So, okay, this will bring me to the last part, and then I'm going to shut the fuck up and get out of here. Number one, everyone needs to get better at writing. Hollywood, that goes for you too. You guys just got to, I know you guys got some better scripts laying around. You just got to figure out a way to greenlight them. And maybe with AI, you could dock those budgets back a little bit and maybe spend a little more on the writing, spend a little more on the acting. Even though I think, casting is not really I don't know, not a huge issue. Studios, by the way, you must buy some of these smaller AI companies and their technology, and you have to start investing in your own proprietary AI stuff. I do believe Amazon's already doing it. You have to do this. Like, this is crucially important because if not, it's not going to matter what studio does what after this. You guys all might as well be the same studio. Actually, you all might as well be the same one now, damn near, because there's only like 3 left. AI companies, if you want to like actually take over Hollywood and be taken seriously as a film tool, stop celebrating that you're going to take people's jobs away. It's sociopathic and fucking weird. Okay, there's no problem acknowledging the reality that could happen. Like, hey, it's capitalism, fair game. But it's weird how much you guys want it. I don't understand. You have to stop doing this. You have to stop saying Hollywood's cooked. Another 29 jobs fucking out the window because now I've got Chuck Norris riding a gerbil on a Star Destroyer. Stop, dude. Grow the fuck up. Like, grow the fuck up. you're marketing like a very serious and impactful and interesting technology, and you're acting like fucking morons. So many of you act like fucking morons. And by the way, since none of you fucking pay me money anyway, all of your commercials suck. There, I said it. Every AI company, every commercial I've seen, whoever that you've got in-house making that, fire him. He's terrible. Or maybe you just have your agent doing it, like your AI agent doing it, whatever, fire him too. Your commercials fucking suck. Your marketing fucking sucks. I know 29 people that could fucking make better commercials than what Hailu comes out with or what these other things do. Which is, by the way, why they just bribe the fucking artists to do all their marketing for them anyway. You've got to stop doing that, bro. You've got to stop doing it. I have seen companies recently that are actually saying, hey, we have a few million laying around. Let's actually invest it into these people that want to make real long-term projects and stuff that's going to have some fucking staying power in the culture, not just staying power online, not just staying power in views and stuff like that, not simply ad revenue, and stuff like that, but, getting people to buy the thing, not getting people to buy a streaming service so they can watch the thing there, but getting people to buy the thing. If AI can do that, and you can, as an AI artist or a director, can do that with it, like, yes, dude, that's major. That's fucking major. But these companies, you guys got to fall back and realize that you are fucking tools. Okay? You're not the director. You're not. Obviously, none of you are Spielberg. Okay? And just let the AI artists work and stop making us all fucking look bad. Shut the fuck up. All right. Yeah, so here's the last thing. If you have a hard on for Hollywood and you want them to fucking die and you want all the jobs to go away and you think you have better taste than Hollywood, you think you know what the people want. It like so many of you motherfuckers out here, if you have $50,000 laying around, there is an artist out there that you could find that like that would change their life and they could build a property that isn't going to just instantly get you $50,000 back, but it's going to build a real fan base. Because by the way, the only reason bands, pop stars, actors, influencers, the only reason anyone sees them and anyone puts any attention to them and stuff like that is because they could be used to sell products. Everything in the entertainment business is just a shadow business of what the real thing is. Live music is actually the alcohol business. You know what I mean? The movie theater business is the popcorn business. Like there's a lot of different levels to it like that. But with the internet, with all these different streaming platforms, with things like Film Hub and whatnot, if you're not squeamish about AI, because honestly, like people need to stop thinking that like, well, I don't want to invest in stuff because people don't like AI right now. Like, no, it's screeching fucking douchebags who make troons and stuff like that. And it's just not it's not a real thing, man. It's a lot of screeching on the internet, but 9 times out of 10, most people that would just see the shit, they would enjoy it because AI stuff is actually way more fun and enjoyable to experience without some fucking bitch in your ear complaining about it and talking about the fucking water. Okay? Like, that's just how it is. Most people, if they see the shit, they'll be like, oh my God, that's cool as fuck. I want to try that. But it's like there's somebody like, wow, how could you? Oh, you're not a real artist because, it's just like, yo, man, shut the fuck up, dude. Rules? Really? Pull out the rule book. Show me the rule book of art and show me where I can and can't do some stuff. Please, show me. I will fucking wait. I want to see it. It's like, shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. There's nothing wrong with wanting to preserve cinema. There are still people that go to the theater. There are still people that just want to see a play. You know what I mean? Plays aren't in any danger. Plays aren't going fucking anywhere. They're good to go. Good to go. Symphonies, still here. EDM didn't kill symphonies. So, like, what are we talking about? Film's going to be fine. Film is fine, dude. It's fine. Hollywood's still throwing up some fucking bangers, to be honest with you. A lot of stinkers. A lot of stinkers. And the fucking KD ratio is super off. I will admit that. But for the most part, Hollywood still cranking out billions of dollars every year. And AI is paying off billions back to their investors. So at some point, these motherfuckers got to kiss and make up and figure out how they're going to figure this shit out. Because, yeah, I will say, there are a lot of internet creators that now have studio capability stuff to do it. However, what I'm going to say is, these creators, oh, now anybody can fucking be Martin Scorsese. No, they can't. That's not true. That isn't true because actually artists are kind of special. Because everybody can argue about what bad art is. Nobody argues about what good art is. Like, everybody knows what truly good stop you in your tracks stuff there is. There are some street performers that when you hear them or see them or whatever, like, you know, the motherfuckers by the subway or just like in some place in Italy, some dude playing like a lute, that like they make you fucking cry, dude. They play on the street. They stop you in your tracks. They stop you from what you were doing. They stop. You had a whole plan for your day. You had a whole thing of where you were going, and you heard something, and it stopped you in your fucking tracks. And that's because it was made by a fucking artist. Somebody that can see and do things that aren't there yet. They can see things before they get there. They have a vision. And that needs to be respected. And all the fucking technical ability in the world doesn't give you that, as blatantly demonstrated by the mountains and mountains of absolute idiotic waste of time fucking slop that is out there. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, like, yeah, the anti-AI people do have, like, when you say, wow, Superman was fucking slop and blah, blah, blah. It's like, yeah, man, that was still someone's job. People fed their fucking kids with that movie. Like, what did you do? Feed Sam Altman? Suck a fucking dick. So anyway, if you have a little bit of real taste and you've got a little bit of real money, you need to start investing in the AI artists that you see and give them a little fucking breathing room to actually get some shit made and really unleash it. Because if you have a really, really talented AI director, there are people that can make you a trilogy of like actually good movies, you know, if they know how to use the tools right and if they understand the fundamentals of filmmaking, you know, because you need both. A lot of my stuff does not look great, especially the earlier stuff because the technology just wasn't there yet. But people still had good stuff to say about it, and it's because I wrote it. I made the music. I edited it. I did, you know, like I tried to put as much of me into it as possible. And as long as you're doing that with the AI stuff, like you're going to be fine. But also you have to understand that just because maybe you weren't an artist before and now AI unlocks this artist in you, it doesn't mean you're entitled to anybody giving a fuck. Just the same as every other artist. You know, that's what they want to say. Like, oh, well, they think they're so fucking special, but now we can be artists too. It's like, okay, well, I thought it's not fucking special. It's like, oh, that's because it is special. Because when you've gotten validation from something you've made, something you poured your, you know, blood, sweat, and tears into, and your ideas and all that, and then people actually receive it the way you want it to be received, and they fucking say nice, kind things to you, like, yeah, it's kind of fucking life changing, isn't it? And so a lot of people are just experiencing that for the first time, and it's because of AI. And a lot of people that are just jaded and they're just in the industry, not actually doing what the fuck they want to be doing, they're just doing what they can to have a job, feel really resentful that just like, you know, what they even begrudgingly did isn't really that special anymore. And so, you know, now we're in the realm of artists and technicians. So we'll see. But I think everybody's kind of got half of a take on this, and they're not really seeing the full picture, which is like, oh, AI is going to take over Hollywood, and what are they all going to do? They're just going to hold hands and fuck off into the ocean. You know what I mean? Like, it's not going to work that way, man. You're going to see a different shift in skill sets and different, you know, kind of brain drains that happen in other things. But like, an AI is already touching video games too, and video games is way bigger than fucking movies in terms of money generated every year. So, yeah, I think that's my whole thing. But the largest takeaway is like, yeah, man, like I see a lot of you crypto motherfuckers and a lot of these people with money that love to get in on the debate and talk shit about stuff. But it's like, dude, there's a lot of artists out there that you could really be investing into that could. It's like, dude, it's not even that it's easy nowadays to make a movie, right? They say like, oh my god, now anyone can make a movie. No, now anybody can make a fucking film studio. You know, if you've got an artist or you've got people that have a lot of ideas and you can come up with a team of 4 to 5 guys and a real workflow that works, dude, like that's a fucking movie studio. And that is a force to be reckoned with, even if you're just on YouTube wrecking it. You know what I mean? So it's been about an hour. I think I'm done. Appreciate you guys watching. If you've never seen my stuff before, it's all in my highlights on X. Or if you're seeing this on YouTube, watch my other stuff. Sometimes I ramble about stuff, but most of my AI stuff is on here. And I do have a Patreon as well. You can subscribe to that if you'd like. And also you can just hit me up if you have any questions or you're thinking about doing stuff or, you don't understand this aspect of stuff as much. I'm not like a guru or a teacher or anything, but I try to share what I know. I just don't really do it super publicly. Because the shit's fucking, like I get it. Like, oh man, your workflow doesn't belong to you. It's like, it's all free now, man. It's just all like, we can all just vibe together and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, yeah, that's cool if you want to do that, but I don't actually work that way. And I'm totally, if somebody takes the time to reach out to me and like conversate with me, that's one thing. I have no problem with talking to people about that stuff. But just simply posting it for any fucking vulture fucking hack who doesn't even have their own idea, it's like, dude, it really is this easy that you just have to type like a third grade paragraph into some shit and it gives you a full video. What else is there to do if you're just all like, okay, so you have AI do it for you. You also steal people's workflow. You also, it's one thing if like, I understand with prompting, like that's cool because also I don't really even prompt all that much. But um, I don't know. There's some stuff that it's just like, yo, man, you guys don't understand. Like the failure is a fun part, like in your journey in the real world with art, it's like it's fun to suck at it and get better and better and better. And that's the other thing too, and this is probably going to sound not very nice, but there are some people who have been making AI art for like 2 years and they get no likes, nobody likes it, and somebody has to tell them that they need to stop. It's like you need to stop. You are the one destroying the water. If nobody likes your stuff, if you have the easiest tool in the world to make a creative piece of media and you still suck, you need to quit. And you need to search deep into your soul and figure out what you were meant to do on this earth because it clearly isn't anything art related. I don't mean that with any malice or hatred in my heart. I mean that as a way to not deprive yourself of a rich, fulfilling life filled with experiences and fun people. So if you suck at AI art, end of the line, buddy. We're yanking the brakes on the train. Tracks are squeaking and sparking. All right, I gotta get the fuck off here. I'm just being an idiot. Thank you guys. I'm Timeline Junkie. I'm out of here.